Supercell has been popping up more and more in the last few years with its insanely popular games, becoming one of the most successful companies in the entire mobile gaming world, stacking up a staggering amount of revenue year by year. And even though all these games come from the same company, their development is sometimes so drastically different that it feels impossible they came from the same studio. But why would Supercell pour everything into one game while almost tearing another apart? And even more importantly, how on earth do they make it work? Today, I'm revealing the truth behind the two completely different sides of Supercell, why Clash of Clans and Clash Royale updates feel like they're from different planets, and why Supercell's strategy, which seems crazy and cruel at first, might actually be pure genius. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. When you compare the latest updates and community reactions of the two games, the difference is immediately obvious. One game has great communication and strong community support, even if it's not the most popular or profitable. Meanwhile, the other is facing one of the biggest community backlashes ever seen. And what makes it even wilder is that after years of bad, money-focused updates, Clash Royale finally made a comeback, yet Supercell still managed to throw it away with an update many consider one of the worst decisions ever. A harder-to-reach level cap, a nerfed progression system, and the addition of heroes. But what if I told you that this time, unlike before, Supercell actually intended it, using what seems like a stupid move as part of a genius strategy? Or is there really any logic behind it other than just pure cash grab? And why would they do this to Clash Royale, which just had one of its biggest comebacks, while giving Clash of Clans some of its most exciting updates ever? To understand why Supercell develops their games so differently, and why they made this controversial update, we need to look back at some of their most important or divisive updates and see how they affected community reactions, player engagement, and long-term revenue for both games. Probably Clash Royale's first major shakeups came with level 14 in 2021, followed by level 15 in 2023. But why are new levels so problematic in Clash Royale? At first, new levels might seem like Clash of Clans' town halls, but the impact is completely different. In Clash Royale, a single higher level card can dominate micro-interactions. If an enemy troop survives because it's stronger, you're forced into inefficient defenses, giving them an outsized advantage. Unlike in Clash of Clans, where a single unit rarely breaks a strategy, here even small level differences snowball into unfair gameplay, and Supercell knows this. They design it so higher levels always carry an edge. But this wouldn't be an issue if the progression system were fair, but unfortunately, it wasn't. Early upgrades relied on chest luck, making progress slow, even for paying players. But later gold passes, magic items, and buffs made maxing much easier, which Supercell had to nerf later on, further frustrating everyone. To squeeze even more from their remaining spenders, they introduced broken paywalled features, keeping players trapped in a relentless cycle of payments. By 2024, the game was in pieces, and many wondered how long it could survive. It felt as if Supercell had shifted strategy entirely, squeeze every bit of money from loyal players before the game's inevitable shutdown. On the other hand, Clash of Clans has been receiving the best updates ever, year by year. In 2023, Supercell released equipment, opening up new attack strategies and more fun for players. They also added mid-month events, challenges, cosmetics like skins and decorations, and stunning new village sceneries that make the game feel cozy and visually fresh. They also shifted focus to helping players catch up. Lower town hall upgrades are way cheaper now, and troop training time was also removed, letting players attack whenever they want. When the player's biggest problem is a defensive building getting merged into the town hall, it highlights how minor their biggest issues are compared to Clash Royale. With these changes, Clash of Clans is slowly making a comeback, mainly because Supercell actually listens to its community and learns from past mistakes. A perfect example was the September 2024 drama. They tried replacing the gold pass skin with a decoration, but players protested, and Supercell immediately reversed the decision. Clash Royale's devs, however, often do the opposite. They share their plans, hear the backlash, and still release the unpopular updates anyway. But against all odds, and despite years of questionable updates, why did then Clash Royale make such a comeback out of all Supercell games? But here is the crazy part. Champions, evolutions, and freshly broken cards may have seemed pay to win, but they actually refreshed gameplay. New interactions and strategy combinations made the game more colorful, even if it was mostly for paying players. This is where Clash Royale's media domination began. Many YouTubers, who were paying players themselves, showcased the broken updates, giving viewers exciting content, while the game somewhat improved. Thanks to its iconic short battles and strategic depth, the game staged a real comeback. But then came the most staggering and controversial update that we could have ever imagined: the December 2025 update. Alongside a new level and added disadvantages, Supercell quietly made progression even harder with replacing same-star lucky drops with worse value. Next to this, maxing decks became harder, king levels required huge card investments, and non-paying players now start battles at a disadvantage in tower HP, damage, and card level. To distract players, they also added free hero cards. But as with evolutions, these could quickly become pay-to-win once again. At first glance, it seems like an other disastrous move from Supercell, something no one with a healthy mind would do. Even if it were just for money, it would likely hurt the game and earn far less than if they developed it like Clash of Clans, especially as the game is at its peak. But what if this time, Supercell actually planned the update far more strategically than how it appears for us? On one hand, the update seems to mimic the iconic early state of Clash Royale. Back then, progression was slow. You could only upgrade cards through chests, donations, or daily deals, making every small step feel meaningful. Players returned regularly to farm chests or complete crown chests, and progression itself drove engagement. But what Supercell overlooked is how balancing works today. Back then, not every level affected key interactions, and most decks were homemade, so level differences didn't play a huge role. But now, Supercell balances Clash Royale so that every level matters. In contrast, Clash of Clans' new town halls, buildings, or troop levels are just like before. They rarely change gameplay, usually just adding a bit of HP. Players upgrade mainly for aesthetics and new content, not because it creates an unfair advantage. So why didn't they make Clash of Clans become pay to win as well over the years? Simply put, it's the game's monetization models. Clash of Clans is progression and attacking based, but its main revenue comes from cosmetics. Clash Royale, however, is structured differently. With limited cosmetics, Supercell relies on progression and new game-changing cards as their main revenue source. That's why they have to sometimes add new levels, eventually making non-paying players fall behind. But does this mean the game is unplayable without spending money? We have to remember that Clash Royale's gameplay remains one of the most unique and iconic, still bringing nostalgia for many players. Minor changes, like slightly higher HP or damage for troops such as Valkyrie or Mini P.E.K.K.A, give paying players a temporary edge, but they're far less significant than critical micro interactions. In the first few months after a new level release, till average players upgrade their most necessary cards needed for these interactions, mass-paying players will dominate early. But with the nerf to paid progression methods and the removal of super cheap elite wildcards, even the wealthiest players won't gain an overwhelming advantage, making the game fairer for free-to-play players while still generating revenue for Supercell. Making the update controversial was likely a calculated move, as the current negative hype only makes future positive updates feel more impactful and the game is more famous than ever. If heroes don't become pay-to-win features like Evolutions did, Supercell could successfully revive the excitement of releasing new arenas and cards just like back in the days. If players survive those first months, complete daily tasks, and upgrade key cards, fair matchups return. This initial period is critical. If the game survives it, it can continue thriving. The recent media comeback helped Supercell bring players back, and as long as this attention continues, the game has the potential to maintain a strong and engaged player base. And this is exactly what Supercell planned.